Good morning. As she stated, my name is Thalisa Adkins. I am a 2-time kidney recipient. At the age of 20, I was diagnosed with chronic kidney failure after going for a physical to play softball while I was in college. After going through a series of doctors and a series of tests, I was diagnosed as having CKD. 3 years later, I started peritoneal dialysis. At that time, that's everyday treatment. As the lady stated earlier, though the exchanges every night at the house. 2 years later, in 2005, at the age of 25, I received my first kidney transplant. Through my process of going to college, as the lady also stated earlier, I was listed. And of course, at that time, when you graduated college, at the age of 22, you no longer had health insurance because you could not ride on your parents' health insurance as you do now with the Affordable Care Act. So during this time, I had a clinician, a physician that picked me up free of charge. So what a blessing. The clinician gave me my Proquit, which is used to produce red blood cells because I was extremely anemic, as well as saw me for free. So that was a blessing right there until I received my peritoneal catheter, and that is when Medicare officially picked me up to receive Medicare because I received my first exchange for peritoneal dialysis. So at the age of 25, once I received health insurance, I was able to get listed and I received my first kidney transplant. We can fast forward 8 years. Once again, I was diagnosed as being in kidney failure. At this time, I'm 32 years old, having kidney failure. So I'm going through the workup again. My physician retires, and my physician tells me when you get to your next nephrologist, ask him or her to go send you to the transplant center when your GFR reaches 20. My GFR reaches 20 in 2013. I'm referred to Mayo Clinic. In November, on Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, is my last meeting with the social worker with my questions of why do you want to receive a transplant? And I state I want to live. She says, great, that's all we need to know. Fast forward December, 2 weeks later, once the medical team meets to do their transplant meeting with the clinicians, the nurse, the social worker, and the transplant doctors, I'm told that, hey, you have been listed to receive that transplant. Fast forward 5 months till May, I get the call the day after my birthday on May the 18th. Ms. Adkins, how are you doing? How was your birthday? It was okay. Well, let me know that you are being a candidate to receive a transplant. Please come out to the transplant center. On the day after my 34th birthday, I received my second transplant. As of today, that transplant is almost 9 years old in May. So that transplant that I received, because I did not need dialysis, thank you, Lord, the second time, was known as a preemptive transplant. Because my first nephrologist asked me to ask my second nephrologist to send me to Mayo Clinic prior to needing dialysis, I was blessed to receive that transplant before ever needed to start dialysis. And that is what a preemptive kidney transplant is. You do not start dialysis. You're just somehow blessed by the Lord to get that kidney before you need dialysis. Yes, ma'am. So the ones that are in my back, they no longer work after the first one. So the first transplant I received was on my right side. So most likely when you get a transplant, it goes here. My second transplant is on my left side. So, but these are both here. This one no longer works. So what they do is they shrink. So this is shrunk. These two in the back have shrunk to beans. And this one just grows so that it's able to do the work of my two kidneys that I originally had.
I have a question. Did you go into kidney failure while you were on peritoneal dialysis?
No, ma'am. I went into kidney failure in my 20s. So I was 20 years old.
I'm sorry, you said you were on peritoneal dialysis and then you required a transplant. I was just wondering, did you go into renal failure did your kidneys begin to fail while you were on peritoneal dialysis?
No, ma'am, they had already failed. That's why I was on peritoneal dialysis.
Okay. And after peritoneal dialysis, did you require a transplant after that?
Yes, ma'am, that's the second one when my kidneys failed at the age of 32.
That was my question. So you were on dialysis and then you required another transplant.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
I take about 20 pills a day, but it's only 5 medications. It's just a regimen that you have to take, some in the morning and some at night, to keep that constant medicine in your blood flow. Yes, ma'am. So the question is, once you go on transplant medications, also known as immunosuppressants, are you able to get off those medications, or are you on those medications for the rest of your life? Unfortunately, you're on those medications the rest of your life. However, they can be titrated, meaning adjusted based upon what your lab works come back when you go see your nephrologist. Any more questions? Okay, thank you.